मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामो राम रामो हरे हरे। All okay. So welcome all of you all for our weekly Gita class. So today we are discussing the last section. We are going to begin the discussion of the last section of the third chapter, in which Krishna speaks about lust and anger, how one should and anger, the greatest enemies for all. Our enemy is actually not outside, our enemy is within us only. If we learn to deal with our own anarthas, lust, anger, pride, greed, envy, so is that achievement. And then we can find out through spiritual technologies how to deal with the enemies within. Right? So that is the section here. What is lust? How dangerous lust is? How it can be overcome, and all that. So this is the last section of the third chapter, verse number 36 till 43. Right. So we will get into the first verse number 36. Arjuna Vacha Atakena Prayuktoyam Papam Charati Purusha Anichan Abhivasneya Baladiva Niyojita. Okay, so at any time, if my voice breaks due to internet issue, please put it in the chat box so that I can try to shift the network. Okay. So the word to word is like this. Arjuna Vacha, Arjuna said, Ata then, Kena by what? Prayuktaha impelled, Ayam one, Papam since, Charati does, Purushaha a man, Anichan without desiring, Api also, Vashneya or descendant of Vrishni, Balat by force, Eva as if, Niyojitaha engaged. Translation Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force. So Arjuna has a very brilliant observation and a question. So Arjuna is asking Krishna, my dear Krishna, what makes us act in sinful ways? What is the force that is propelling us to act in sinful ways? So many people have this understanding that when we commit sin, people say that Paramatma, God inspired me to commit sin. This is a complete wrong understanding. Right? So Arjuna is asking Krishna, even though I don't want to do something wrong, but still there is a force that pushes me. What is that force? Is Arjuna's question. So very brilliant observation and a very honest question. So Prabhupada explains in the purport that all of us as living entity, as Atma, we are all originally pure. Just like the rainwater, when it comes from the sky, from the clouds, it is very, very pure. But when it comes in touch with the mud, it becomes muddy. So all of us originally, we are all pure. We are all Shuddha, without any contamination. But somehow we have come in this material world and we are contaminated. So by nature, we are all free from sins. But because we are in contact with material nature, we act in so many sinful ways without hesitation. So this is the problem, that we are in a wrong environment. So because we are in an environment where we are getting propelled to sinful acts, we sometimes do it even without our wanting to do it. So Prabhupada says that Arjuna's question is very sanguine. Very sanguine, matlab very intelligent and a very honest question. How do we regain that original nature? Right? We are all in this contaminated world. How do we remain in that original position? How do we deal with all these impulses that keep coming? So Prabhupada says there, you know, such actions of sins are not impelled by the Paramatma. They are impelled by another factor. So Arjuna's question is, my dear Krishna, are you forcing us to do something wrong, or is there some other force also in play? So this is Arjuna's question here. So Arjuna is, he's making Krishna speak this topic about lust for all of us. You see, it's not that Arjuna had this problem. Arjuna was completely Urvashi proposes to Arjuna. Let us enjoy together. She is the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful. But Arjuna tells Urvashi, like the money cannot love you. That Arjuna has the Arjuna is asking it for the benefit of all of us. He wants Krishna to us. What is the solution to this problem of lust? So Lord Krishna answers the next two. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kama Esha Krodesha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhi Enam Ihavairanam. Voice breaks. Okay. That's what I was asking. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. I will try to shift the network. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. Can someone chat and tell me in the chat box, is my voice better? Or are there any breaks again? Now it's okay. 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 So Arjuna is asking Krishna, my dear Krishna, what forces us to commit sinful acts? So Krishna explains in text 37, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Kamayesha Krodesha Rajaguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhi Enam Iha Vairinam. So word to word is like this. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the personality of God had said, Kamaha, lust, Eshaha, this, Krodhaha, wrath, Eshaha, this, Rajoguna, the mode of passion, Samudbhavaha, born of, Mahashanaha, all devouring, Mahapapma, greatly sinful, Vidhi, no, Enam, this, Iha, the material world, Vairinam, greatest enemy. The Supreme Personality of God had said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with material mode of passion and latter transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring, sinful enemy of the world. So Arjuna is asking Krishna, my dear Krishna, what causes us to act in sinful ways? So Krishna tells straight in the next verse, it is lust only which is born out of material nature, right? So, kamesha, krojesha, rajoguna samudbhavaha. So the lust is born out of kam, is born out of rajoguna, right? And this kama becomes krodh. And Krishna says that this lust is actually our greatest enemy. Mahashano Mahapapma. It is the greatest enemy for all of us. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that it is lust only that is causing us to commit sinful acts. So, as we were discussing, the living entity, we are all originally pure, correct? We are all once in the spiritual world with Krishna and having pure love for Krishna, Krishna Prem. But what happens is when we come in contact with the material world, just like the raindrop, when it falls from the sky and it comes in contact with mud, it becomes muddy. Similarly, when we come in contact with the material world, that original love, that pure love that we have, is transformed into lust. Prabhupada gives an example, just like milk. When milk comes in touch with some sour tamarind, some sour object, that milk becomes curd, yogurt. Similarly, that prem, that original love, when it comes in touch with passion, mode of passion, rajoguna. So when the original love that we have comes in touch with rajoguna, then it becomes kama. So that's why Krishna says rajoguna samudbhavaha. Samudbhavaha means born out of. So kama, lust, is born out of rajoguna, right? So this is the root cause of lust. So Prabhupada says here that we have two choices now, correct? Now we have all come in the material world. So our original love for God has become lust, kama, coming in touch with the mode of passion. Now we have two choices from this point on. We can convert this lust back into love, that original love, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoy. That original love, we can convert this lust back into love if we practice a process of bhakti, if we develop attachment to Krishna. But if we don't do it, then this lust will become anger, this kama will become krodha, and it will degrade further. So, the nature of lust is, very, very difficult and dangerous, because when lust is satisfied, when you fulfill your lusty desires, you become greedy for more. Greed comes. And when it is not satisfied, it becomes anger, right? So this is the problem. So therefore, it is very important for us to convert the lust by the mode of goodness into pure love. And that is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada explains here that as living entities, as part and parcel of Krishna, we all have independence, minute independence. But when we misuse that minute independence and want to enjoy separately, we come under the sway of lust. And this material world is created for only one purpose: to give the conditioned souls facilities or opportunities to try to fulfill lustful propensities. And as long as we have this lust with us, we will keep taking births again and again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janare jatare shayanam. We keep taking repeated births. So it is lust only that keeps us trapped in this world. Just like a person who's in the prison, he's trapped by different chains. So lust, anger, greed, these are different chains that keep tying all of us. So the process of Krishna consciousness, the process that Krishna is giving in the Gita, the Bhagavatam, is actually meant for all of us so that we can achieve that original love. We can transform this lust into love. And Prabhupada says that the origin of everything is Krishna only. Just like the Bhagavatam says, Janmadi yasya yatoho. Everything comes from Krishna. So the origin of lust also is Krishna. Right? So just like Prabhupada explains in the first canto, first chapter, first verse, that Krishna also has Ras Leela in the spiritual world with the gopis. But that is on the level of pure love. And here, when we try to enjoy, it is on the level of lust. So we all have two choices, as I was telling you. Either we can get degraded with this lust, or we can convert this lust back into love. And Prabhupada gives two examples. One is of Hanumanji. Hanumanji, he used his anger. Hanumanji, in one sense, was angry, correct? Because Hanumanji burnt Lanka. So if you're not angry, how you can burn Lanka? Hanumanji was angry, but that anger was spiritual because he used that anger in Krishna's service. So Prabhupada says how to convert lust and anger in Krishna's service. How to spiritualize lust and anger by using everything in the service of Krishna. Just like the gopis, they were lusty, but they were lusty for Krishna. What does lust mean? Lust means trying to achieve something. But when you try to achieve something for yourself, that is material lust. When you try to achieve something for Krishna, when you try to get Krishna, that is spiritual lust. And similarly, anger. Hanumanji was angry, he burned Lanka. And Prabhupada gives the example of Arjuna. Arjuna fought the Kurukshetra war. And Arjuna also used his anger in Krishna's service. So in this way, when we use lust and anger in Krishna's service, that means when we try to use all our desires in the service of the Lord, then we can convert this lust into love. So the process of bhakti, especially this Navvidha bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, these 9 processes of bhakti can actually convert this lust back into love. That is the whole idea. Just like the Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabu Noy, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Kariya Uday. So that eternal love, that seed for love is already there within us. But now it's become lust. But when we engage in the process of Shravan Kirtan, we will achieve that original Krishna Prem again. So now in text 38, once again, Krishna explains different levels of lust in different living entities. So the verses like this: Dhumena priyate vahanir yatadrisho malena cha yatol bhena vrato garbas tata tenedam avratam. Word to word, Dhumena, by smoke, avriyate is covered, vahani, fire, yata, just as, adarshaha, mirror, malena, by dust, cha, also, yata, just as, ulbena, by the womb, avrata is covered, garbha, embryo, tata, so, tena, by that lust, idam, once again. Just 1 minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. Just 1 second. Yeah. Just 1 minute. I'm sorry. There's some, network issues. Yeah. Okay. So now in this verse, Krishna explains how there are different coverings of lust. As fire is covered by smoke, a mirror is covered by dust, or an embryo covered by the womb, the living entity is covered by different degrees of lust. So here you see how scientific Krishna is explaining the topic about lust. Systematically he is explaining. First he explained how lust is the biggest enemy. And he explained what is the origin of lust. The origin of lust is love. But when that original love comes in contact with mode of passion, it becomes lust. And then that lust will degrade into anger due to the mode of ignorance. Now, does everyone have the same amount of lust? Krishna says no. There are different layers of lust or different coverings of lust. And he gives three examples: fire covered by smoke, mirror covered by dust, and uh, living entity covered by embryo. And sorry, an embryo covered by womb. So if you see these three examples: smoke, fire, dust, mirror, womb, embryo, which is the thickest covering? The embryo, sorry, the womb, which covers the embryo, is the thickest covering. The less thicker than that is the covering of mirror, dust covering the mirror. And the least covering is smoke covering the fire. Okay? So Krishna compares that the consciousness of a human being has the least amount of lust. The consciousness of birds and bees, they have little more amount of lust. And the consciousness of trees is the maximum amount of lust. That is why in the Bhagavatam there is a story of Nalukuver and Manigriva. We discussed the story during the Damodar Leela. Nalukuver and Manigriva, they were the sons of Kuvera. Kuvera is the treasurer of demigods. So they were the two sons of Kuvera. And they were so much engaged in sense gratification. They were enjoying with women completely naked. So Narad Muni cursed them to become trees. Why? Because Narad Muni, this is Shastrik. So Narad Muni is thinking that these people have a lot of lust in them. So let them become trees. Like Prabhupada explains that trees, they are completely standing naked only. Right? So if someone doesn't cover their bodies, then in the next life they will get bodies of trees, because the tree has the maximum amount of lust. So these are three coverings, right? And Prabhupada says that that's why in human life, it is easier to practice Krishna consciousness, because the trees and birds and beasts, the amount of lust, the amount of ignorance that is covering them is too much. But the human beings, they have more easy chance to practice Krishna consciousness. So in human life, the fire can be kindled. Just like, if you have seen smoke, there's fire and there's smoke around it. I think fire is there. If you just kindle it, if you just fan it, that fire will come. So similarly, lust may be covering our consciousness, but if we can kindle that fire, that little fire that is there, that spark that is there, then that fire can come up again. That lust can be vanquished. And Prabhupada says here, so one can conquer lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a spiritual master. Right? So Prabhupada says by careful handling of smoke, the fire can be made ablaze. You see, if you know, if there is fire and there's smoke also, if there's an expert, he knows how to fan it properly in such a way that that little spark doesn't go away, but it becomes fire. If you fan it too much, the spark may go away. So only under a proper guidance. So this is very important. Two things Prabhupada is explaining and Krishna is saying here. If you want to develop that fire of Krishna consciousness, if you want to achieve that original Krishna Prem, then we have to do two things. We have to practice bhakti, but we have to practice bhakti under the guidance of an expert spiritual master. Right? That's what Srila Prabhupada explains in this verse. So we will see text 39. Avritam jnana etena jnanino nitya vairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena alinena cha. Word to word. Avritam, covered. Avritam is covered. Jnanam, pure consciousness. Etena, by this. Jnanina of the knower, Nitya Vairina by the eternal enemy, Kama Rupena in the form of lust, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Dushpurena, never to be satisfied, Analena by the fire, Cha also. The translation is like this. Thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So, thus the wise living entity. So all of us, we are supposed to be intelligent. So Krishna is saying two things. We were originally pure and we were originally intelligent. But what has happened? Lust has covered our consciousness. And because lust has covered our consciousness, we have lost our purity and we have lost our intelligence also. We have become foolish. So lusty desires makes one foolish. So we have all become fools in this material world. And what is the proof that we are fools? Because we think that material advancement, sense gratification will make me happy. But actually, the so-called happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. Right? So, this is the problem. Lust keeps us so entrapped in this world, we don't even understand that we are entrapped. Our fever in this material world keeps increasing, and because of lust, we are just caught here. And lust is something that it can never be satisfied. Just like it is explained that a fire, if you put more kerosene on the fire, will the fire go off? No, the fire will not go off. The fire will burn further. So if you want to stop the fire, what you have to do? Stop feeding fuel. Correct? So if we try to satisfy lust and then say lust will get satisfied, how will lust get satisfied? The more you try to satisfy lust, the more it will burn. The Bhagavatam explains the same analogy. Yayati Maharaj is telling his own experience. Yayati, it comes in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam. He enjoyed sense gratification so much for thousands of years. But after that, his realization is, Na jatu kama kamanam upubhogena shamyati havisha krishna vartmeshu bhuya eva bivartate. Says that this lust, I've tried to satisfy it for so many lifetimes, and for so many years, it is not getting fulfilled at all. So if you have to stop this fire of lust, so the first thing we need to understand that lust is like a fire. This is burning our heart. Govinda Das Kaviraj explains in his song, Dibanishi hiya jwale, juraite na koi no upay. Right? Samsara bishanale, dibanishi hiya jwale, juraite na koi no upay. So this lust is burning our hearts day and night. And instead of putting off the lust, we are increasing lust by adding fuel to it. So if you want to stop lust, what we have to do is stop feeding it. We have to stop sense gratification. By doing sense gratification, we'll be stuck in this world. That is why Prabhupada says that this material world, another name of this material world is Maitunya Agar. Maitunya Agar means we are all bound by chains. And what is the chain? Sex life, sense enjoyment. That is what is keeping us in this world. And this chain is actually a punishment for all of us for being disobedient to the laws of God. As long as this desire is there, we'll have to, some little happiness we will get. But this happiness is our greatest enemy, because this little happiness keeps us stuck here. Just like a prisoner, someone who's there in the prison house, the jailkeeper or the jailer may give some little food, and the prisoner may think, okay, life is happy here only. But because he's satisfied with the prison life, he doesn't want to get out. Similarly, the material world keeps us this carrot of sense gratification, and because of this, we remain stuck here only. We keep taking births again and again, different births again and again, only to enjoy. So if we want to go to the spiritual world, we have to give up this lusty propensities. Right now, Krishna explains in the next loka where all lust is situated. So these were some characteristics of the lust. So now we'll see more characteristics and where all lust is situated. Text 40. Indriyani manobuddhir asya dishtanam uchyate Eter vimoyati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. Word to word, indriyani, the senses, manaha, the mind, buddhihi, the intelligence, asya, of this lust, adhishtanam, sitting place, uchyate is called, ete, by all these, vimoyati, bewilders, esha, this lust, jnanam, knowledge, avritya, covering, dehinam, of the embodied. So the translation is like this: the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders them. So Prabhupada says the enemy has already captured strategic positions. So who is our enemy? Who is our enemy? Lust is our enemy, correct? Lust is our enemy. So now, if you want to conquer the enemy, first you have to know where the enemy is situated. Correct, na? Just like the Indian soldiers, when they go to attack the terrorists, just like na, this Pulwama attack happened. After the Pulwama attack, uh, you know, Indian government did the surgical strike. They went and destroyed the camps of the terrorists. But for that, first the Intelligence Bureau of India finds out where the terrorists are situated. Only then you can go and attack, no? Similarly, lust is our greatest enemy. So now Krishna explains in this verse, where is lust situated? Krishna says, it has already conquered all strategic positions. So Krishna is saying here, Indriyani mano buddhir asya dushtanam uchyate. Indriya means senses, mano is mind, buddhi is intelligence. So the lust is there in all the places. It is there in the senses also, it is there in the mind also, and then in the intelligence also. Therefore, we can't rely even on our material intelligence. So we can't rely on our intelligence because our intelligence is also lusty. And Prabhupada says that intelligence is the capital of everything. The lusty intelligence is the capital. So this is how we are caught in this world. This is how we acquire a false ego. What is false ego? False ego means wrong identification. We think we are this body. We start to falsely identify with this body and we think that we are the mind and senses. So as soon as you think I am this body, I am the senses, I am the mind, you want to enjoy. If you think I am the spirit soul, you will want to serve Krishna. But if you think you are the material body, you will want to enjoy. Right? And Prabhupada explains here the verse from the Bhagavatam. This is a very nice verse. Yasyatma buddhi kunapetri dhatuke swadik kalatradishu bhaumma ijjati yatirtha buddhi shalilena karhichit janeshu abhigyeshu sa eva gokaraha. So who is a foolish person? A foolish person is yasyatma buddhi kunapetri dhatuke. This body is a kunapa. Kunapa means a bag. Just like you have a sack, na? Our body is like a bag, a sack, made of what? Three elements. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tri dhatuke, kapha vata pitta. So this sack, this body, which is like a flesh sack filled with three elements, kapha vata pitta, we think this is me. Yasyatma buddhi. You ask people, who are you? They will tell, I am this body. Foolishness. As soon as you think you're this body, you consider the products of the body to be your own, my children, my wife, and the land in which you are born you think is worshipable. And you go to place of pilgrimage, instead of meeting great devotees, you just take a dip in some water and come back. So these are all manifestations of false ego, right? So Krishna is saying here that lust has conquered all the strategic positions. It is there in the senses, it is there in the mind, and it is there in the intelligence also. In this way, the soul is entrapped. So just like terrorists, when very solid terrorists or thieves come to attack, they conquer all the strategic positions, right? Similarly, lust has entered our system everywhere. So we are actually in a very precarious situation. We are in a very, very difficult situation. So it's first important to understand what enemy we are dealing with. Just like, if a cancer is raging in someone's body, first it is important to find out whether it is first stage, second stage, third stage. then only you can give the right solution. Na? You can, you know, administer medicines for it. Similarly, first we need to understand how difficult we are there in this material world, how difficulty placed we are, how lust is there in all the places. It is there in the mind, senses, intelligence. And then we can deal with the lust in a better way. We'll be more serious about this topic. So then in text 41 onwards, Krishna explains, it's a very important verse, text 41, how to conquer lust. From where to begin? Krishna is explaining here, right? This we will, so there are like 3 verses, 41, 42, 43. We will see this the next time. So I'll stop here for today. Anyone has any questions till what we discussed today? Was my voice audible or was it cracking? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, then that's it.
Prabhuji, in the last para, Prabhupada says that, and also in your slide, that who considers land of birth as worshipable.
Correct.
So this is contradictory to Janani Janma Bhumischa Sarvadapi Gariyasi. Therein Ram says Janani and Janma Bhumi also land is greater than even Swarga Loka, so it is worshipable. But in this purport, Prabhupada says because of the false ego, a person considers the land of birth as worshipable. Would you like to throw some light on this?
Yeah. So basically, see, if you think that just because you are born in a particular land, that land is worshipable, that is still false ego conception. If you are proud of the culture of that land, then it's different altogether. So when there is this verse that the land of India is worshipable, the land of Mathura, Vrindavan, and all these holy places are worshipable. That means we are worshipping this land because it's a holy land. It's the land of dharma. So your whole worship is not because I am born. See, most people they worship the land of their birth only because they are born. They have no other reason to be proud of. So ultimately, you're not proud of your birth land. What you're proud of is of yourself only. Understanding the point?
Yeah, but Rama says Janani Janma Bhumi. Janma Bhumi, he says. Janma Bhumi means land of birth.
Yeah, but that Janma Bhumi refers to the land of India, right? And because this land is a dharma kshetra, that's why you have to be proud of it. So if you're not proud of the spiritual inheritance of that place, then it's basically material only.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other question? Okay, so let's stop for today. We will continue from Vikrant. Okay.